Hey, Kyle here. I can't believe how long it's been since I've done one of those how to cook like a starving artist videos. When I first started living on my own, I was vastly underprepared for just how much work it is to actually cook for yourself every meal, every day. Learned a lot of things the hard way, so this video I'm just going to go over some of the basics, so hopefully you can learn them the less hard way. There are all kinds of little gadgets and knickknacks and sets of things that you can buy, and they seem really great and really convenient, but most of it is overkill. I find, like most things in life, the 80-20 rule applies. Of all the kitchen stuff you buy, 20% of it you're going to use 80% of the time. Big part of cooking is cutting. Don't get a knife block. There's only really 3 kinds of knives you actually need. A big chopping knife, tiny little paring type knife. I've become really fond of these dollar store ceramic ones. Ridiculously sharp and very low maintenance. And then another kind of serrated knife that's good for carving stuff or cutting bread. Wooden spoons are great. If you ever wonder why a wooden spoon, what's wrong with a metal one, what's wrong with plastic? Well, but wooden spoons, the handles don't get hot and they won't scratch off any nonstick. I'm a real fan of spatulas that are just one single piece. The ones that kind of have a wooden handle and a little gap, there's always space for crud to get stuck and bacteria to form. Scissors are surprisingly convenient for cutting a lot of food things. Veggie peeler. I actually don't peel things like carrots that often. I find this is really good sometimes for actually getting nice big slices of carrots from doing a salad or something. It can be nice and handy. For frying pans, good medium-sized non-stick will do the trick. Non-stick is an area where you don't want to cheap out like I did. It's an area where it is worth it to splurge the extra bucks, get a good brand. Cheap ones like this start to flake and scratch off really easily. Cast iron frying pans. This is an area where you really can cheap out, especially considering you can get them at thrift stores or used stores. This one here has actually been in my family for well over 100 years. I inherited it from my great-grandmother. I like the ones that's one solid piece of metal because it means this is oven safe. You can just put food in here, stick the whole thing in the oven, let it cook. It's great. The handles can get a little on the hot side, so I took a cloth, folded it over a few times. Bam. Instant frying pan mitt. Now it doesn't get too hot. Oh, the smoothness of 100 years of bacon grease being fried into that metal. As for pots, I find you can really get away with having one medium one and then one big one. I really like the big ones because cooking it will take substantially more time than you probably expect. And when you can have a big pot like this, it allows you to do things like soups, stews, and chilies, where you can spend, say 4 hours on a Sunday, prepare your food. Once that's done, you'll have meals for the entire week ready to go. So you just gotta, take a scoop, throw it in a bowl, toss it in the microwave. Instant food. Very convenient. Most important thing to look for, make sure the bottom is as thick as you can find and as thick as you can afford. Because you're going to have things boiling on this for a long amount of time, if the bottom's paper thin, you're going to always get stuff, you're always going to get crud burning and sticking to the bottom of it. When the pot has a really thick bottom, it's very forgiving. You can forget to stir it for like 45 minutes to an hour and come back and it's still fine. Sieves are really damn handy. They're great because you can use it as a substitute colander if you have pasta. But you can also use it for if your flour or sugar or salt or anything starts to get kind of chunky, you can sieve it through here and make it a powder again. Cutting boards. Some people really like to go all out with the really fancy, expensive wooden end grain ones, but I find that they kind of dull your blades a little faster. This one I got from the dollar store for like $3. Cookie sheet. These come in surprisingly handy. I'll often throw some parchment on it. Keep in mind, if they're clean and shiny, they will have substantially different cook times than if they're old and blackened. I find having a big stainless steel bowl immensely helpful. You can chop up all your vegetables, chop up potatoes, chop up whatever you're working on, put it in here, mix it in with some sauce or marinade, or if you're doing like a shake and bake type thing, if you want to like bread your chicken or fish. It's just a really nice, good sized stainless steel bowl is great for that. A grater. I've always used these nice box kind of graters. The side with the big teeth I use most of the time. If you have one of these, always find a plate that can sit on it nicely, and that way, as you're grating, as soon as you're done, you can lift it up, take your contents, pour them right in a pan, everything's fine. These, I would say, are the most essential items. So yeah, cooking for yourself can take way more time than you expect at first, but being able to cook in big batches and all that kind of stuff will save you a lot of time and effort. And it's also important to try to maintain the stuff as best as you can. These aren't disposable consumer electronics. If you take good care of these things, they will last a lifetime.